My name is Claire Donovan. I'm 32 years old, an emergency room nurse, and a single mother. I've held the hands of strangers as they took their last breath. I've stayed calm when everything around me was falling apart, because that's what the job demands. But nothing in 12 years of nursing ever taught me how to handle the moment I realized my own sister had just weaponized my daughter's biggest insecurity and broadcast it to the internet for laughs. Maya is 7. She has her father's brown eyes and my stubbornness, which is both a blessing and a curse depending on the day. She started stuttering when she was 4, right around the time her dad, Kevin, and I separated. The pediatric speech therapist told me it was likely stress-triggered, and that with consistency and patience, most kids work through it. Maya has been working through it. Every single day, she practices in front of the bathroom mirror. She reads out loud to her stuffed animals. She started a little journal where she draws pictures of things she wants to say without getting tripped up. Progress has been slow, but it has been real. Her teacher, Mrs. Hernandez, told me last spring that Maya raised her hand to answer a question in class for the first time ever, and that she got the whole sentence out clean. I cried in my car for 20 minutes after hearing that. Maya's stutter is not a joke. It is not a quirk. It is something she has fought for 3 years with more guts than most adults I know. She understands that some people notice it and some people don't, and she has finally gotten to a place where she doesn't hide when she needs to speak. That was her thing. That was her hard-won ground. Then my sister Amber decided it would make good content. Let me back up, because Amber doesn't exist in a vacuum. She is 29, 3 years younger than me, and she has spent most of her adult life convinced the world owed her something it forgot to deliver. Growing up, she was the one who got away with everything, broke curfew and got a shrug, cheated on a test, and my mom called the teacher to complain about the grading system. When I got into nursing school, Amber told everyone at dinner that she had always been the smarter one and just chose not to apply herself. She genuinely believed that. She still does. 6 months ago, Amber lost her job at a marketing firm called Brightfield Creative. Officially, it was a layoff, but the truth, which came out in pieces through cousins and a very loose-lipped aunt, was that she had been inflating her expense reports and someone finally noticed. Amber's version of events is that the company was toxic, her boss was threatened by her creativity, and she simply chose to move on before they could undervalue her further. I stopped expecting honesty from Amber around the same time I stopped expecting her to pay back the $200 I lent her in 2021. My mom, Linda, has been running interference for Amber since the day she was born. If you handed Linda a photo of Amber robbing a bank, she would find a way to explain why the bank deserved it. She is not a cruel woman. She just loves Amber in a way that has no edges, no boundaries, and no accountability attached to it. My dad, Thomas, is a retired electrician who would rather reorganize his toolbox than enter a conflict of any kind. He smiles a lot and says very little, which is its own form of participation. Every November, my mom insists on hosting Thanksgiving at the house in Denton where Amber and I grew up. It is a beige colonial with a pecan tree in the backyard and a kitchen that smells permanently of old coffee and cinnamon. My mom sets out the good china. My Aunt Patrice, my dad's sister, drives 4 hours from Beaumont and immediately becomes the only person in the room I actually want to talk to. There are cousins I recognize by face but not by name at this point, and there is always someone's boyfriend or girlfriend who looks faintly alarmed by the whole production. Maya had been looking forward to this particular Thanksgiving for weeks. She had a new dress, sage green with little white buttons, and she had practiced reading a poem at school that she wanted to share with everyone at the table. She told me about it on the drive over, reciting pieces of it quietly in the back seat, pausing when the words got tangled, starting again. By the time we pulled into my parents' driveway, she had made it through 3 times without a single stumble. I told her she sounded beautiful. She told me I was biased. I told her that was my job. My mom met us at the door with her arms already open. She hugged Maya first, which she always did, and for a second I thought maybe this year would be different. Maybe the distance I had put between us since Amber's job situation had softened something. Then my mom looked at me over Maya's shoulder and said, "Don't start anything today, Claire. Amber is going through a hard time." I had not said a single word yet. I had been there for approximately 11 seconds. Inside, the house smelled like it always did, roasted turkey and the vanilla candles my mom overuses. My dad was in the living room watching football with my Uncle Doug. He stood up and hugged me, told Maya she had gotten taller, which she has, and went back to his chair. Aunt Patrice was in the kitchen slicing bread and she grabbed my arm the moment she saw me and whispered, "Amber's been here since noon." She's filming everything on her phone. I don't know what she's up to, but I don't like it. I looked at her. She pressed her lips together in the way that meant she was genuinely worried, not just gossiping. Amber arrived at the main gathering space from the back hallway right then, phone already in hand, and she opened her arms wide like she was hosting a talk show. There she is, my big sister and little Maya. She crouched down to Maya's level, and I watched my daughter's face, the way she lit up because children do not understand yet the difference between attention and genuine warmth. Amber tickled her chin. Are you going to talk to us today? Use your big girl voice? Something cold settled in my chest. I kept my expression neutral. Hey, Amber. She straightened, gave me a once-over. Cute scrubs. Oh wait, you changed. Nice. Then she drifted off toward the kitchen, phone tilted at an angle I registered but did not address yet. The next hour passed the way those hours always do. My mom circling, orchestrating, adding garnish to things that did not need garnish. Amber holding court at the kitchen counter, telling a story about a brand deal she was apparently in talks for, something involving skincare and a platform she was building. My cousin Rachel nodding along with the particular expression of someone who stopped believing the story 20 minutes ago but has nowhere else to be. Maya had found my uncle's dog, a lumbering golden retriever named Biscuit, and was in the corner of the living room reading to him from a picture book she had pulled from the shelf. She read slowly, deliberately, pausing in the right places, and Biscuit stared at her with complete commitment. Aunt Patrice stood next to me at one point and said quietly, "That kid of yours is something else." I smiled so wide my face hurt. When my mom announced it was time to set the table, Maya came running in with a rolled-up paper she had pulled from her bag. She had printed the poem from school and she had decorated the border with colored pencils, little turkeys, and acorns, because she had decided she was going to share it with the whole table before we ate. She held it out to show me. Can I read it, Mom? When everyone sits down? Her voice caught on the first word, then found its footing. Her eyes were steady. She had been working up to this. Of course you can, I told her. You've been practicing all week. You're going to do great. I noticed Amber watching from the doorway. Her phone was at her hip, but I could see the screen facing outward. We all settled around the table. My mom had done the seating arrangement the way she always did, which meant Amber was on my left and Maya was between me and Aunt Patrice. The food was passed, plates were filled, and then Maya stood up before I could say anything, because she had decided the moment was now and she was not going to wait any longer. The table went quiet. My mom smiled with genuine warmth actually. My dad looked up from his plate. Maya smoothed the paper in her hands and cleared her throat. She got through the first 4 lines beautifully. Clean, clear, measured. I could see the effort in the set of her shoulders, the way she breathed before each phrase, the way she had learned to give herself room. Then she hit a cluster of words in the 5th line, the kind that trip her up, words that start with hard consonants stacked together, and she stopped. She started again. Stopped again. Her chin dipped a little. That was when Amber raised her phone directly at Maya's face and said, loudly, clearly, "Oh, say it slower, sweetie. Maybe try it again?" In a voice that was performing helpfulness but dripping with something else entirely. And she laughed. A short, bright theatrical laugh. 2 cousins at the other end of the table smiled reflexively, the way people do when they are not sure what the joke is, but assume there is one. Maya looked at me. Her eyes were full. I said her name. I started to stand up. My mom put a hand on my arm. "Claire, she's just encouraging her." I looked at Amber's phone. The red recording light was on. It had been on for the entire reading. Amber. My voice came out low and level, the same register I use in the ER when something has gone wrong and I need everyone to stay functional. Put the phone down. Amber rolled her eyes. "I'm documenting the holiday. Calm down. It's sweet." "It is not sweet." "Put it down." My mom squeezed my arm tighter. "Don't make a scene. Maya is fine." But Maya was not fine. She had pressed the poem against her chest, paper crinkling, and she was staring at the centerpiece in the way she did when she was trying very hard not to cry in a room full of people. I stood up fully. "Amber, now." Amber sighed loudly, the sigh of someone who has been victimized by a reasonable request. She set the phone face down on the table. "You are so sensitive. I was literally just filming Thanksgiving." She was cute. People love that kind of thing. I picked up the phone. The camera app was still open. The video was there, 47 seconds. I watched 5 of them, enough to see the angle she had chosen, close on Maya's face, the stuttered repetition front and center, Amber's laugh timed like a punchline. I looked at my sister. "You filmed my daughter struggling on purpose and you were going to post it." She reached for the phone. I held it back. Give me my phone, Claire. Not until you delete this. She stood up. My mom was now standing too, her voice rising, telling both of us to stop it, telling me I was ruining Thanksgiving, telling Amber to apologize even though the word apologize was clearly causing her physical pain to say. Maya had gotten down from her chair and pressed herself into my side. I could feel her shaking. Thomas, my dad, had set down his fork and was looking at a point somewhere past my shoulder. Not at us, just past us. Aunt Patrice said, in a voice that cut clean through the noise, Amber, what is wrong with you? It was not a question. It was a verdict. Amber's face did something complicated. For 1 second, I thought she was going to back down. Instead, she grabbed her phone out of my hand with both of hers and said, It was already uploaded. 20 minutes ago. Auto-upload. You can't delete what's already out there. Then she smiled. A smile that didn't reach anything above her mouth. It's got good engagement, actually. The air went out of the room. I looked at my daughter's face. She had heard every word. She understood enough. Her eyes searched mine, asking a question I did not have a clean answer to, and I felt something lock into place inside me the way it does in the ER when the room gets very quiet and everything narrows down to what needs to happen next. I took Maya's hand. I walked to where her coat was hanging by the door. I put it on her, slowly, one button at a time, while she leaned against my leg. My mom followed, talking steadily, explaining, justifying. I heard pieces of it. You're overreacting. She didn't mean anything by it. Maya didn't even seem upset until you made it a thing. I turned around at the door. Maya's decorated poem was still on the table. I walked back and picked it up, folded it carefully, put it in my coat pocket. If you post anything else involving my daughter, I said to Amber, and I kept my voice even, which was harder than anything I had done all day, I will pursue every legal option available to me. And I will make sure you understand there is nothing funny about using a child's speech impediment for content. Amber shrugged, a beautiful casual shrug, the kind she had perfected at 19. It's already out there. And honestly, Claire, not everything is a trauma response. She looked at Maya with something I can only describe as theatrical pity. She's fine. Kids are resilient. I looked at my father. He was still staring at that same point past my shoulder. I left. In the car, Maya did not cry the way I expected. She held her poem in her lap and ran her fingers along the border she had colored and was quiet for a long time. Then she said, was she laughing at me? The words came out with almost no stumble at all, which hurt more somehow. She made a bad choice, I told her. A really bad one. And I'm going to fix it. Can you actually fix it? I exhaled. The video or the way you feel? She thought about it. Both. I can try very hard to fix the first one. The second one we're going to fix together, every day, the same way we always do. She was quiet again. Then she said, I practiced that poem for 2 weeks. I know, baby. I know you did. At home, I put Maya to bed earlier than usual and sat on the edge of her mattress until she fell asleep. Then I came downstairs, opened my laptop, and did what Amber had not expected me to do, because she had never taken me seriously enough to plan for it. I called Jess. Jess Calloway is a family law attorney I went to college with. We stayed close through the years in the particular way women do when they have both been through difficult things and kept showing up for each other anyway. She answered on the second ring. When I explained what had happened, she went quiet for a moment, in the precise way that means she is organizing information rather than reacting to it. The auto-upload story might be partially true, she said carefully, but that doesn't change your options. In Texas, recording a minor and posting it publicly without parental consent is actionable, especially when the content is designed to demean or mock. The stutter framing is key. Was it identifiable as targeting her disability? It was 47 seconds of her face while she was struggling, with my sister laughing audibly in the background. Another pause. Find the post. Screenshot everything before she can take it down. Get me the URL. And document exactly what was said at the table. Every word you remember, tonight while it's fresh. I pulled up Amber's social media with a hollow feeling in my stomach. The post was there. A TikTok. 30 seconds clipped from the 47. Maya's repeated attempts at the hard consonant cluster. Amber's laugh right on cue. And a caption that read, when the family Thanksgiving entertainment isn't exactly Broadway, but we love her anyway lol. 63 comments already. Most of them laughing emojis. A few that said things like OMG poor baby in the way that still found it funny. And one, with 14 likes, that said this is actually kind of mean, though? I screenshotted everything. I wrote down every exchange at the table, every word my mother had said, what my father had not said, Amber's exact phrasing about the auto-upload. I emailed it all to Jess before midnight. Then I did something I had not done in over a year. I texted Kevin. He called me back in 4 minutes. When I told him, his voice got very quiet and very still in the way it does when he is genuinely angry. He asked if Maya was okay. He asked what I needed. I told him I needed him to come be with her for a few days because I was going to be dealing with things that required my full attention and she needed more than one person in her corner right now. He said he would be there by noon the next day. I hung up and sat in the kitchen with my hands wrapped around a mug of tea that had gone cold and thought about all the ways I had tried to keep peace with Amber over the years. The times I had swallowed what I wanted to say. The times I had let things go for the sake of a holiday, or a birthday, or my mom's feelings. And I thought about Maya at that table, her poem against her chest, her eyes asking me if I was going to fix it. I was done swallowing things. The next morning I drove to the police station with printed screenshots in a folder and Maya in the back seat, because she did not want to stay home alone even though she was going to Kevin's later. The officer at the desk listened to me with more attention than I had expected. When I showed him the screenshots and explained the context, the deliberate framing, the public post, the prior warning I had issued at the table before Amber confirmed it was already uploaded, he took careful notes and told me someone from the department's cyber unit would follow up within 48 hours. Jess filed a cease and desist that afternoon, citing invasion of privacy, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and violation of Texas statutes regarding minors in recorded media. She told me the cease and desist alone would not remove the video, but it would create a formal record of notice, and that if Amber posted anything further after receiving it, she would be building her own case against herself. Amber received it by email at 3:47 p.m. She called me at 3:52. "Are you serious right now?" It was not a question. "I am." Over a TikTok. Over a 30-second video of my niece reading a poem. Over a 30-second video you deliberately recorded to mock your niece's stutter, posted publicly without consent, and then refused to take down when asked. "This is insane. You're going to ruin my career over this." The laugh that came out of me surprised us both. "Your career? The one that doesn't currently exist?" The line was quiet. "Take it down, Amber." My voice was the same level it had been the night before. "Take it down. Stop posting about Maya entirely. And maybe we can find a version of this where you don't end up in a courtroom explaining to a judge why a child's speech impediment was good content." She hung up. The post came down 20 minutes later. I documented the deletion timestamp. Jess said it was the right move on Amber's part, but that it did not undo anything, because the screenshots already existed, and the damage to Maya already existed, and we would be watching closely. My mom called that evening. She had been crying. I could hear it before she said a word. "Claire, please. This has gone too far. Amber made a mistake. She's your sister. Can't you just—" "What, Mom? Can't I just what?" A long pause. "She's struggling right now. She didn't think it through. Maya has been in speech therapy for 3 years. I kept my voice level and clear. She practiced that poem for 2 weeks. She stood up at the table and tried her hardest in front of everyone she loves. And your other daughter held a camera 6 inches from her face and laughed. I don't care that Amber is struggling. I care that my daughter is struggling now because of her." My mom was quiet for a moment. "You always make everything so black and white. Some things are." She did not call back that night. Thomas called the following morning. He had not called me in months. He sounded older than I remembered. He said I should have said something at the table. I saw what she was doing and I said nothing. "I want you to know that I know that." I sat with that for a while. It was not enough. But it was more than I had expected from him, and I told him so. Kevin arrived at noon as promised, and when Maya saw him, she ran from the door to the hallway, and he caught her and held on in the way that reminded me what he was good at even when we were not good together. Over lunch at the kitchen table, he watched me go through Jess's latest email and said quietly, "She had this coming. I'm just sorry Maya was the one who paid for it first." That night, Maya sat on the couch with her sketchbook. She was drawing a figure with a speech bubble, and inside the speech bubble she had written, in careful blocky letters, "I am saying something important." I sat beside her and looked at it for a long time. She noticed me looking. "It's me," she said, "when I'm not scared anymore." I put my arm around her. "That might be the bravest drawing I've ever seen." She leaned into me, Is Aunt Amber sorry? I chose my words slowly. I think she's sorry about the consequences. I'm not sure yet if she's sorry about what she did. Maya thought about it with the particular seriousness that 7-year-olds bring to things adults try to oversimplify. Those are different things, she said. They are, baby. They really are. The following week, Amber posted a statement on her social media. A long paragraphs-long caption that described herself as someone who made an impulsive mistake that has been completely blown out of proportion by family drama, and included phrases like healing on my terms and learning to put my own peace first. It said nothing about Maya. It received supportive comments from people who did not know the full story and critical ones from people who apparently did. Someone shared the original screenshots in the replies. The comment section became something I stopped reading after the first few minutes. Jess called it an opportunity. If she keeps talking publicly about a matter that's under legal review, she's doing our work for us. I was not thinking about opportunity. I was thinking about Maya, who had found out the original video had been seen by over 2,000 people before it came down, and who had gotten very quiet for an entire afternoon and then said to me, very softly, while we were folding laundry together, "Do you think any kids at school saw it?" I sat down on the floor right there between the laundry basket and the dryer and I told her the truth. Maybe. I don't know. But here's what I know for certain. Anyone who saw that video saw a little girl trying her very best and doing something hard. That's what was on camera. That's what you were. She folded a sock with great concentration. But they also heard Aunt Amber laugh. They did, and if they thought that was funny, that tells us something about them, not about you. She thought about it. What does it tell us? That they don't know yet what takes courage. I took the sock out of her hands gently. You do. Her speech therapist, Dr. Morales, called me the next week after I had filled her in on everything. She suggested we add an extra session for a while. Not because Maya had regressed, but because she wanted to give her space to process what had happened in a structured environment. In their first session after the incident, Maya apparently spent 40 minutes reading aloud from a chapter book, the longest stretch she had ever sustained without stopping to reset. Dr. Morales told me this with something that sounded like controlled amazement. She said, "I think she's decided it can't be taken from her." I cried in my car again. Same parking lot, different reason. Amber's formal response to Jess's cease and desist came through an attorney, which surprised me slightly. It acknowledged receipt and stated her intention to comply with the removal request, which had already been executed, and denied intentional malice, citing the post as a candid family moment shared in good faith. Jess said the language was careful enough to suggest someone competent had drafted it. She's taking it seriously, she told me. Which means she knows she was wrong, even if she'll never say so. We decided not to pursue further legal action, not because what Amber did was acceptable, but because Maya's recovery did not need a courtroom narrative woven through it. Jess agreed. You've established the record. She knows there are consequences. Sometimes that's the real win. My mom came to my house 2 weeks after Thanksgiving. She stood on the porch with a pie, still warm, and a look on her face that I had never seen on her before. It was the look of someone who had been thinking for a long time about something she did not want to think about. She said she wanted to apologize to Maya. I told her that was Maya's choice to accept or not mine. She nodded. She said she understood. She said that for years she had told herself that protecting Amber meant keeping the family together. But standing at that Thanksgiving table and watching Maya's face while her daughter laughed had broken something open in her that she was still trying to name. I let her in. I made coffee. We sat at the kitchen table in the quiet way of people who have a long history with each other and a lot of things still left unsaid. She did not make excuses. That was new. When Maya came downstairs and saw her grandmother, she stopped on the last step. My mom looked at her for a long moment and said, "I didn't protect you the way I should have. I'm sorry." Her voice cracked on the last 2 words. Maya looked at me, checking. I gave her nothing either direction because it was truly hers to do with as she wanted. Maya stepped off the last stair and walked to the table and sat down. "Okay," she said simply, the way children accept things when they are not ready to dive into the full weight of them but are willing to sit nearby. It was not a reconciliation. It was a door cracked open, 1 inch. Thomas started calling on Sundays. Short calls, nothing consequential, just checking in. He asked about Maya's speech therapy, always asked specifically about that. He never asked about Amber. I let him have that. Amber and I did not speak. She sent a text on Maya's birthday, 3 weeks after Thanksgiving, just a balloon emoji and a simple message. I showed it to Maya and let her decide what to do with it. She looked at it for a moment, then set my phone down and went back to her birthday cake. That felt right to me. Forgiveness is not a deadline. It is something that either grows or it doesn't, on its own time, and no one gets to demand it. One Saturday in early December, Maya's school held a winter program. She was in the third row of the chorus, sage green dress again because it was still her favorite, her hair in the 2 braids I had done that morning. When the chorus teacher signaled her section, Maya stepped forward for the single verse she had been assigned as a solo. 4 lines, 12 words each. She had practiced them so many times I heard them in my sleep. She sang every single one without stopping. Clean and clear and true, her voice carrying over the heads of the other kids and into the back row, where Kevin and I sat side by side, without fighting for the first time in a long time, because some things are bigger than the ones we carry between us. Kevin reached over and gripped my hand without looking at me. I let him. When Maya came out after the program, she found us immediately through the crowd, running in that full-body way she does when she is not thinking about anything except getting somewhere. She hit me with both arms and I held on and thought about that decorated poem still folded in my coat pocket, the one with the little turkeys and acorns around the border, the one she had made and almost shared at a table full of people who were not all ready to receive it. I still have it. It lives in the drawer of my nightstand. On the drive home, Maya pressed her face against the cold window and watched the Christmas lights blur past and said, without any preamble, I think I want to talk to younger kids. Like, kids who stutter. Tell them it gets easier. I looked at her in the rearview mirror. That sounds like something worth doing. Dr. Morales said there are groups. Kids who practice together. She turned from the window. Can we look into it? First thing tomorrow. She turned back to the lights. Good. There are things I have learned to let go of, and things I have learned to hold. I have let go of the version of Thanksgiving that was never going to happen no matter how carefully I tried to keep the peace. I have let go of the hope that Amber would become, with enough time, someone who understood what she had done. Maybe she will get there one day. That would be better for everyone. But I am not waiting for it, and I am not paying the cost of waiting while Maya needs me present and steady. What I hold is this. A little girl who practiced a poem for 2 weeks and almost didn't share it, and then decided she would share it anyway. A child who sat in a therapist's office and read aloud for 40 minutes straight because no one was going to take her voice from her. A kid who, in the span of a few weeks, decided she wanted to use the hardest thing about herself to help other kids who were struggling with the same thing. If someone asks me what I was most afraid of in all of it, it was not the video. It was not Amber, or my mom's choices, or the court filings. It was the version of this story where Maya decided to be smaller because someone laughed. Where she put the poem away and never took it out again. She did not do that. She took everything that was meant to diminish her and turned it into something she could stand on. I did not teach her that. She arrived knowing it, and my job was simply to make sure no one talked her out of it. The balloon emoji is still in my text thread, unanswered. Maya's poem is still in my nightstand drawer. And on the kitchen table, there is a new notebook, spiral-bound, bright yellow, with Maya's name on the Genta cover in her own handwriting. It is for the group, the one she is going to help start. That is the only ending that matters.